In this session, we will learn how we can place certain railings, and by that we're referring to the specific railings that you're going to be needing for your own projects. Now for this project over here, we were told that behind the mullions of these curtain walls, we needed to place some railings, and for example on this side, the railing would go all the way from beginning to end, all around all these curtain walls. The railing would have to be placed behind these mullions. So that'll be right on these lines over here as indicated in the CAD plan. Therefore, we had to place the railings. Now we could see the details of these railings over in the details sheet. So I'm going to go over here and open the file. And here it is. You can also see it's titled, The Details of the Railings Behind the Curtain Walls, of which we've got the section view or profile in the elevation. Now according to what we see in this elevation, the first thing we notice is that these are the mullions of the curtain walls, these green lines, and above that it says we've got a 1-inch diameter steel pipe, and we've got the same thing going on at the bottom where we need another steel pipe. So basically our railing consists of 2 steel profiles, or maybe it would be better to say that there's one profile only in 2 different elevations. And as for the middle part here which says glass, that's for the curtain wall, then we've got the mullions on the sides, and behind those is where the railing will be placed. We can see from here that the railing is connected to the mullions, and maybe it would be better to check that out in the section. So up to here, we don't need to really pay attention to all the details. It is enough that so far we know we need to draw a railing, which is made of 2 steel pipes with 1-inch diameters. Now we know that 1 inch is equal to 2.5 centimeters, which will make the radius of these pipes that we need to draw about 1 centimeter and 25 millimeters. Alright, so now if we check at the bottom, we can see that it says the distance from the floor up to the middle of this pipe, or the pipe's mid elevation, is 10. Now if we try to increase this distance, like if we try to stretch this up to this line, then we will understand that the distance from the floor all the way up to the top elevation of the pipe is 11.5, and from the floor up to this upper profile is 100. So the first one is 11.5, and the second one is 100 centimeters or 1 meter. So now let's go over to Revit and draw this railing. I'm going to head over here and I'm going to grab the railing tool. Now in the first step, I'm going to duplicate this type. For example, I'm going to grab the one that is actually a pipe, then go to Edit Type and duplicate it, and I'm going to give it a clear name, something like Kimia / curtain wall rail. Alright, now we're going to have to go over to the details and try and add those 2 steel pipes or profiles that we saw in the CAD plan, which we also figured that their radius should be 1 centimeter and 25 millimeters. We don't have that here, so the first thing we need to do is to create a profile by ourselves. I'll hit finish for this one, and then I'm going to go over here and draw a line so I could have a sample of this new railing type I've made. And then I'm going to go over here to New and Family. Then when this window opens, I'm going to press the P letter. And once I find Profile, I'm going to select and open it. But remember that for this one, we need to go for Profile Rail. So we're going to open that one. And we will begin by drawing a circle in the middle. There we go. Then I'm going to press UN. Then I'm going to set the length unit to centimeters with maximum 2 decimal places for the rounding. And then I'm going to go over here to change the radius value to 1 centimeter and 25 millimeters. So that's 1.25. Basically, now we've got the diameter, which is from here to here in 1 inch, as an inch is equal to 2.5 centimeters. Now we're going to save this, and for its name we're going to put railing profile followed by the diameter of the profile. So there we go, we're going to save it, and then we load it into the main project. Then we go back in here, and while the railing is selected, we're going to go to its edit type. And first we're going to uncheck the top rail for this one. Then we're going to go to rail structure, then click OK. And then here we're going to delete the extra rails. We're just going to make it only 2. And the height of the second is supposed to be 11.5 centimeters. And the first one is supposed to be 1 meter high. Alright, then I'm going to go over here and choose the profile that I've just made and assign that to both of these rails. Here we're going to click OK and OK for this window. Now let's go check it out in 3D. And by far this is the railing that we've made. But as for these balusters, we're not going to be needing them, so we need to go to Edit Type and remove those. Therefore, we're going to have to go over here, set this to None. Confirm, click OK. And so here is our railing, which is also placed behind the curtain wall as we need it. And as for that little error that keeps coming and going, that's actually nothing to worry about. But in case it appeared again for you, you could just go to Edit Type, then to Edit the balusters, and change the top rail to something else. You could choose anything that you have available. Now I'm going to click OK, and we're pretty much finished so far. But there's one thing that we need to pay attention to, which is that this railing that I have placed, if we look at it from this angle, we can see that it has gone right into the mullion. Whereas it's supposed to be right on the edge. For example, it's going to have to look like this. So what should you do in such cases? When you come across something like this, you're going to have to actually assign an offset to your railing, and it's going to back up a little. And that applies to all the other railings you'll draw. So for instance, if I try to view this railing from this angle, you will see it right here. Here's its profile. And so we're going to need to measure this amount and give it an offset by that much, so it'll back up from the mullion. Now I'm going to go over to the ground floor plan and create a section over this railing. Like so. We will create a section on the profile, and we're going to also flip the section. Then open it, go to the view, and try to fix that problem from there. Alright, now I'm going to have to move these headers and tags out of the way so we can see better. We're going to move them a bit. So first we will stretch the section from both sides. Now let's go on to these headers and move them a little to the right. Let me just grab it from the bottom and move them farther from the joints, and then zoom back in on the railing. So this right here is the profile, that's the railing, and this is the mullion. We said the railing needed to back up from it so that it's no longer inside the mullion, but to the point where it's more like sitting on it. So I'm going to go over here and draw this line. And then I'm going to measure from here to here and see how long it is in the first step. We will need to measure that from the center of the circle. So that's from here to here. And see the length at which the railings go in the mullion. Alright, now we're going to copy that value. Then we're going to go to the railings edit type. And then paste that value for the offset of the rails. Now let's see which side it moves to. It looks like it went that way. So we're going to need to go back to edit type and add the negative to those offset values. And that'll be it. And now we've got this railing right along the mullion. Now as for those details that you saw in the CAD file, since we're not required to apply this amount of LOD, we're not going to also include all these minor details. Just having a railing would suffice, and to have it positioned behind the curtain wall, and the railing will continue that way all throughout. So now I'm going to go back in here to the ground floor plan, then try to edit this railing we placed earlier, and we're going to extend it all the way to the end. We're going to stop over here. There we go. Now we're going to try and extend it again from this side, going all the way down to here. Now about whether you're going to have to place these railings behind this one or not, that depends on your own details. We have a wall over here, so we might have to ask the client about how we should do it. I'll just stop here, then click finish, and then go down a bit and continue from here. So it goes from this point all the way down to here, and looks like I'll have to pick lines and then pick this line to draw over it. Only we might have to adjust the position of both ends. Basically, it would be a lot better and more precise if you try and draw these railings manually than to do it by using pick lines. Okay, so that one started from here, and it goes all the way down to this point. So we're going to go over here, and we're going to draw this railing backwards. So we'll just have to keep going up. And stop the railing right at the corner of this wall. Okay, so as you can see, we just got an error, which is because I mistakenly drew two separate lines, which is not something we can do when drawing railings. We're going to need to draw an individual line and click Finish, then enable the tool again, and continue drawing along the same line as the previous railing stopped. So I'm going to draw that from here all the way down to this spot, then click Finish. Then I'm going to continue and draw from here down to this corner, click Finish. And the next railing line would go, and the next one starts from this point all the way down to this corner of this wall, click Finish. And this part is going to be the entrance, so the next railing will start from after it. So it goes all the way down to here. But also notice how we're going to need to stop at this point, click Finish, and draw this little part separately. But as for this side, since there aren't any mullions, we won't be needing the railing. So I'm going to have to continue drawing the railing for the opposite side, which is on the left. So I'll grab the railing tool again, and I'm going to begin drawing from this point and go all the way up. But again, it really depends on the amount of details that you are willing to apply to your drawing. For example, sometimes you might need to draw the wall a little backwards to make space for the railing. That one depends on your own project's details as to how far your railing should go. Now we have it for here, so we're not going to draw anything again. And the next railing is going to start from here and all the way up. We're going to go up to the next mullion. And also here's an interesting thing, which is that the client required us to draw these railings all the way past that. That wasn't something that was indicated and clear to understand in their CAD plans. So that's why I insist that you discuss this kind of stuff with your client. Then you'll know exactly what you need to do and how much detail you need to apply. Okay, so now let's draw this next railing. Click Finish. And now the next railing goes from here all the way up to here. But again, sometimes you might have to draw your railings all the way through, which is something that you need to first ask of your client and have their approval. So there goes this railing. Now let's draw the next one. It starts from here and it goes all the way to the top. So that's pretty much all the railings, only we're going to need to go back to this mullion and press the spacebar to rotate it. So up to this point I have drawn all the railings that needed to go behind the mullions, and what we did in short was that we drew one railing as a sample first, then readjusted our type settings, and drew the rest of the railings. So this way you can draw the railings for your own projects, depending on how they look, and if they seem to be very simple or something that you could use from Revit's defaults, then that's great. But in case you couldn't find your railing type from Revit's defaults, then you'll have to create them by yourselves, like you would make a profile, add balusters if needed, etc. Now I'm going to go over to the 3D view to show you all the railings that we've placed. Here we are in the section box. I'm going to bring this top down. And as you can see, here's the finished look. The railings that we've drawn are all placed behind all the mullions that were placed before them, like so.